Everyone, in this video we'll discuss about type of table in Snowflake. There are three types of table in Snowflake. They are permanent table, temporary table, and transient table. Understanding the difference between permanent, temporary, and transient table is crucial for efficiently managing data in Snowflake. It helps in aligning storage choices with specific use case and also helps in optimizing cost based on lifecycle and requirement of data being processed. Let's first understand about permanent tables. Permanent tables in Snowflake are persistent storage structure for structured data. They are created to store data for long term. Data in permanent tables is stored in Snowflake's cloud-based storage, ensuring durability and accessibility. These tables are suitable for storing data that needs to be retained and queried over extended period of time. Permanent tables are integral to data warehousing and analytics, serving as a primary repository for structured data. It have high level of timetable retention in comparison to transient and temporary table. It also have fail-safe period of 7 days. Let's now move to temporary tables. Temporary tables are designed for short-term storage needs that are automatically dropped at the end of session or transaction. Temporary tables are useful for storing intermediate results or temporary datasets being queried, data transformation, or other short-term operations. They are session specific or transaction specific, ensuring that they do not persist beyond the scope of ongoing computational activity. Temporary tables contribute to efficient query processing by providing a local storage space for interim use cases. Once the session ends, data stored in table is purged completely and is not recoverable, either by the user who created the table or by the Snowflake. We can create temporary and non-temporary tables with the same name, but within the same schema, temporary table takes more precedence over any other table. Let's now move to transient table. Transient tables are optimized for short-term storage of large dataset and are built separately from permanent tables. These tables are suitable for handling intermediate dataset during data processing tasks, offering a balance between performance and cost effectiveness. Transient tables are automatically deleted after the specific time period, providing a mechanism to manage cost associated with temporary storage. They are particularly useful in scenarios where large amount of data need to be processed and retained temporarily without incurring long-term storage cost. It does not have additional fail-safe cost because it does not provide a fail-safe mechanism like permanent table. We can create transient table and databases and schema as well. All tables that are created in transient schema as well as schemas that are created in transient database are transient by definition. We have discussed about permanent, temporary, and transient table. Let's now move to practicals in our Snowflake UI. I have already written the script. I'll attach the script in the description. Let's first create a database named practice. Now let's get started with temporary table. To create a temporary table, I have to mention temporary table, that is create or replace temporary table and the table name. Now temporary table is created. I can insert the data inside this table. Now if I am going and doing show tables, we can see the details of the table. That is when it is created, name of the table, database created in, schema, and kind. Under the kind, I can see it's mentioned it's a temporary table created by account admin and so on. You can see the other details by scrolling towards the right. Now if I am doing select star from cars temp, I can see the record. Now as temporary table says, the data is not available in any other session. So if I copy this query and open a new session, it is new SQL worksheet, select database name practice, and run the same query, I am getting an error saying SQL comparison error. This is because the table is no longer available in this session. Now let's go and create transient table. To create a transient table, I have to mention transient here. Create or replace transient table, table name, and the variables. Now if I am creating a transient table, it's successfully created. I can insert a data inside a transient table using the same command. Now if I do show tables, we can see that under the kind it's mentioning temporary or transient. So this is how Snowflake gets to know what kind of table it is. Now if I am doing select star from car transient, I am able to see this. If I copy this data and put it in another session, I can still see the data. So this is a difference between temporary and transient table. That is, transient table is available in another session, but temporary table is not. Now let's go ahead and create a permanent table. To create a permanent table, we don't need to do anything. The default type of the table is permanent. Just create or replace table. Now our permanent table is created. Same way, I can insert the data inside the permanent table. Now if I am doing show tables, now I can see, under the kind, if it is permanent table, it just says table. This is because default type is permanent. Then comes temporary, then comes transient. Now if I am doing select star from cars permanent, I am seeing the data. And I can see the data if I am going to another session as well. Now like this, we are not able to understand the difference between transient and permanent table. The only difference between transient and permanent table is fail-safe mode is available in permanent table, but fail-safe mode is not available in transient table. So if you are having a security concern and all, permanent table is the best fit. Now there is also a way by which we can change the table. That is, we can make permanent table to transient and transient table to temporary. So now if I am doing that, create or replace transient table, then I have to clone it. This is a way I can create a transient table out of a permanent table. That is, create or replace transient table. I am writing a table name cars transient clone cars permanent, and I can drop a permanent table now. That way, if I am writing a query show tables, and if I am running this, now I can see clone is created and clone is transient in nature. By this we have created a clone of permanent table which behaves as a transient. Now I can go ahead and drop my permanent table. I can also create a clone of transient table into a temporary table. To do that, we can just write create or replace temporary table cars temporary clone cars transient. By this, we are creating a clone of transient table as a temporary table. So it's already dropped. So if I'm just doing, I've already run the query, that's the reason I'm getting a compilation error. If I'm showing the table, I am seeing that our cars temporary clone exists and it is temporary in nature. In this video, we have seen how we can create temporary, permanent and transient table. We have seen what are the differences between all these tables, and we have also seen how we can clone one tables into other types.